Pleasant good morning. Good morning to you, one and all students of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption, Incompetence. Welcome to today's episode. Today, midweek, Wednesday, the 16th day of April, 2025. Welcome, one and all. Welcome to this midweek episode. And we have a lot to tell you this morning. Share the live. We always ask you to share the live to let people know that we are on. I know by now the regulars are going to always be here because they know when we are scheduled. But you have to share it to those who maybe are not regular students. There are many people still who are not regular students, so you need to tell them. And even the regular students, sometimes they tend to forget. Things happen, and then they would say, oh, shucks, I forget that it's Wednesday and all that. So share the live and let them know that Speaking Out is ready. Wednesday, the 16th day of April, 2025. Another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks for being in the living. Many persons would not have been this fortunate. So we have to always give praise, always give thanks to the Almighty for allowing us to see the new day. No matter what the circumstances are, the fact that we're able to get up, or we wake up, you should say, and see a new dawn, that is a blessing in itself. My colleague CC is already in the studio, and he's always anxious. He's always raring to come and to bring you credible, valuable information. We both are ready to give you credible, valuable information. And as usual, we have lots to tell you this morning. Lots to tell you. Our last program was on Friday. We had Wednesday's program was interrupted. And as good teachers, we decided we are going to come an additional day, and we did so on Friday, and we brought you lots of information, and we're going to do so again today. Now, as we start, I have to remind us all that this is still Holy Week. Today is Wednesday, then tomorrow Holy Thursday, Friday, Good Friday, then you get Holy Saturday, then Sunday is Easter. Sunday is Easter. Celebrated in Guyana on Monday, Easter Monday, with kite flying, the traditional kite flying all over. Well, the kite flying starts earlier. When I was going to school, from the time Christmas finished, was kite making time. From the time the Christmas holidays were over, you go and make your kite, your caddy old punch, your star point, your spinning engine, all of those things. And this used to be as a little boy, this was me week, because this is how it used to make me hustle. I made kites to be sold in the village, and board kite you call it. You get pointer kite, you get board kite. You get later on they brought in box kite and all them Chinese kite. When I was growing up, nobody bought kite. The regulars don't buy kite. You make your kites. You so much diamond and all of this type of thing. You got to understand these things. We had good days growing up, and what did we make it with? We make it with kite paper and gamma cherry. Kite paper and gamma cherry. Later on, some people had Barbados paper and cellophane paper, and all of these things came in later. But when I started out, was basically kite paper, pointer. Then you move to box board, and you do your thing. You go into the Baghdad, you get bamboo to make the kite head. You get your gamma cherry, and you come and you sit down and you paste. That is how you used to paste. We had a shop in BV there, hung up on the shop, and people come to buy. A 150 kite was a big kite. A 150, if somebody coming for a 150 kite, that was a big raise you get. You make your kite, you make your loops, we pull in loop, your mountain loop, and all of those type of things. When you put on the tail loop, then you got to know how much tail to put so the kite can be stable up. You put too short a tail, you can pitch all over the place in breeze. And then next thing you know, you make the kite, and if you don't put on proper loop, it's all bread. It's that was a traumatic experience for a young man if you kite salt bread. And then we go out on the seawall to fly it. Them big boys put razor blade on the kite tail, and it cut you kite twine, and it gone sailing down. Good days, man. Good days. So yes, this is the week leading up to Easter. Let's rejoice. Let's be glad in it. The program was scheduled at 7 o'clock this morning sharp. At 7 sharp, and as we say, we're going to do the usual thing, roll call. The roll call is going to be a little long. I'm going to try to go through it as quickly as possible. Announcements, and then we're going to dive in to the main issues that we have. In terms of the roll call, that man came down from the hills again last night. I suspect you don't have any demonstration in there now. Things have returned to normalcy, and therefore I'm referring to no other than Barled. Barled is out from the hills, and he's there for us at 7 o'clock. Others were there at 7 o'clock, including Peter, Dennis, Kenneth, Wayne from the UK, Sean from upstate New York, Tessa, Ulrich from West Demerara, Lennox, Moses, Forgus, Vibert, 1966 Lawson, Magnell, John, who else? They all came in at 7. And shortly after, we had Ezzy, Derek, Courtney, Lyndon, Denise, Kay, Anthony, Aubrey from Canada, Kevin, all of these people just around the same time. Desiree from Georgia, Joan from New Amsterdam, Brian from Brooklyn, Marlon, Lyndon, Aubrey, Pastor Smith is here with us, Sandra, Carlton, my squad mate, 9430, Esla, the Angel came in at what time? 702, Anthony Bradshaw from Peters Hall and the East Bank is here. Then we have Gibbo came in, Wayne Puran from Essequibo Coast, Benji from Myconi, Carol, Ivor, Machu, Brennan, Brooklyn, Paulette, Clarence, Forbes, Uncle Paul is here with us, Hazel, Rhonda, Floyd, 10688, Diane, Ross Levi is here, Winston from California, Grantley, Rondell, Carl, Paulette, Cecile, then it was Paula, Queenie, Father Masha is here with us, Paulette, this is Marcia, and Diane, then it was Compton, Smitty is here, 7464 Vibert is here with us, Sharon from the UK is here, Neville, Joseph, Annette, Emerson, Francis Skeet from Melanie Damashana is here. Francis, look, let me, Francis, today should go for at least 3 hours. Now, we aren't sure about that, but we're gonna try to make up as best as we can. Bonita, Harold is here with us, Hazel, Claremont, Dexter, Walterine, Earl, Daniel, Daniel is a Linden man too. Barlett came down earlier than he did. Felicia, Vibert, the next Vibert, Umi is here, Roxanne, Marcus, Albert 0892, Patricia from New Jersey, Clifton from Paris, Barbara, Gordon, Isabella, Kevin, True Guyanese is here. Then we have Vibert from the East Bank of Demerara, Devian, Lyndon, Patricia, Glenlis, Melinda, Brenda, Michael, Mortal, Gavin, Jakey from Maryland, David, Sanjin Harris, Sanjin Baird Hopkinson, sorry, Amanda, George from DV, Evelyn, Marva, Malcolm, Princess Orr from Lamar Springs is here with us. Then it was Ronald Jr., Ivelaw, he's now I'm thinking he in Guyana and Texas. Clay, Grace is here. Michael, the man from Imbai Madai, is with us. Jacko from Georgia. Donald, Danny, Henrik, Mortimer Mingo. Mr. Chairman, welcome. Colin, Elton, Stefan. Then it was Paul, my namesake. Farina, O'Neill, Kurt, Terence from Canada, 9795. Claude, Kian, Aileen, our female umpire is here with us. Maureen. Then it was Carl, my squad mate from Arizona, is here. 9414. Edda is here. Machu, Nicola, Kerry from Maryland. Lawrence, Lawrence 10, he says his number is 10590. Then Mr. K, my good friend, is here. Monica, Bernadette, Clive from the UK, 12789. Valerie, Terry is here with us. Terry was what, 9933. Then it was Royston. Orin is here. Mark, Phil, Dion, then Pamela from West Dem. Raul is here. Sharon, Dorette, Sean, Boo Alexander is with us. Everett from Texas. Linden. Then it was Abera, Leon, Siobhan, Chevron. Then it was George, Marcus, David, Warren, Mandela Gandhi is here with us. Winslow, Pito is here. Trevor, Margot, Doreen, my squad mate from Canada, W349, Vernon, Trevor, John, Ovid 0937, Aubrey is here. Vanessa, Bobby Brown. Hope it's not the singer, but Bobby Brown is here. Nigel, Melville, good to see you. Good to see you the other day. Dion, McGarvey, Barbara, Chilo is with us. Gloria, Marla, Bray, Michael, Janella, good to see you back in class. Uverine, Mark, R. Crawford is here. Paulette, Colin, Carlton, Lorraine is with us. Vorlin, Morton, Marilyn, Marilyn, Tessa. Then it was Dion. Lucius, it came a little later than usual. Jean, Dylan, Joseph, Karen, Gail, Sean. Then it was Russ Ricardo is here. Rupert, Lorraine, Dre, Lester, Orville, Good Things is here. Christy. Then it was Patrick, Joseph. Patrick was what? 12-1-28 Patrick. J High is here. Cedric, Danny, 82-19. Then it was Rawl. Charlene is here. John. And after John, it was the last person, Cheryl from in the schoolyard, Cheryl from New Jersey. Then Edward Charles, regaining the #1 position. Then Dion, Wills, then it was Profex Home Enhancement, Colvis, Author, and the list goes on and on and on. And I said, welcome one and all. Welcome. As I said, we scheduled the program at 7, and the students were ready in this schoolyard. Now let me go for the announcements before I bring in my colleague, Mr. Conway. Let me start with the sad, we always start with the obituaries, the sad announcements. And I regret to announce this morning the death of Milton Robert Paidana. Milton Robert Paidana, former West Indies and Guyana cricketer. Well, I should start from a police, GDF, Guyana, West Indies cricketer. He played for New Amsterdam too. He from New Amsterdam. Pai died yesterday afternoon in Brooklyn. I got word sometime last week that he wasn't well. And so the word that I got was that he was very sick. And as you know, contributors said that he was low. When contributors say a man sick and he low, it means that he did real bad. So we received word that Pai was low. And yesterday afternoon, I got word that Pai passed. And as I've said, Pai was a police. Many people do not know that. I spoke to a guy this morning. He said that he did not know. 8071 Paidana. That was his regulation number. I always remember that because we had 8070 Peters, 8071 Paidana. Paidana was one, if not the best wicketkeeper the police ever had, and perhaps even Guyana and the West Indies. He made the West Indies team. He toured Pakistan, I remember in 1980 with Clive Lloyd's team. I remember very well David Murray, not Derek, David Murray emerged as the leading keeper then. Pyle ended up playing, I think, 2 ODIs. He also had an ODI in 1983, I think it was, against India. He played 3 times. Of the 3 games he played, they say he batted once. The team was so powerful in those days, he batted once and made not many, 3 or 4 runs, but he had the distinction of scoring the winning runs in that match that he made runs in. One time he scored the winning runs. Pai was one of the members of that fantastic police cricket team in the 70s and early 80s and so on. Milton Paidana, Keith Cameron, William Jeffrey, Neblit, Joashan, and all of those people, Winston English, and those people. Outstanding people, Neblit, Vibert Neblit, outstanding cricketers at that time. In those years, police dominated local cricket. I never missed a game. And then I became a manager for that team, traveling all over with them. Weekend, Saturday, Sunday, it's cricket. You can't get me to go or do nothing else. I was fortunate in that I worked during the week. as an instructor. So Saturdays and Sundays you were generally free. Cricket all over. Yeah, so Pi passed yesterday afternoon, and I'm sure we're gonna hear further about his funeral arrangement and so on, and we're gonna keep you informed, right? We're gonna keep you informed. He played. I have a record there. He played what? He played a lot of first class games. 85 first class games, then 27 list A games. I know at the first class level, I think he had 2 centuries and all that. Milton Robert Paidana passed. So condolences to the relatives, friends, and all of those people of Milton Robert Paidana Police. 71. I can't remember what the rank he was when he left, I think around 1989, but I remember Pai very, very well. Very, very well. And for the I want to take this opportunity to again express condolences to CC on the passing of his brother. His brother was buried on Sunday, and he said because of that he was traveling out from Kokwani on Monday, and I announced that we're not going to have a program on Monday. I made that announcement, and oh Lord, you students keep calling the teachers to find out what happened. Today's Monday, you ain't got program Monday. We got to start finding you because, corporal punishment has been outlawed. So we can't put you across with legs with the cane. But you got to start making some means to punish you without depriving you of the education, without depriving you of the knowledge and the education. Yeah, but that is the reason why we had no program Monday. And then I was scheduled to be at the UN. We're going to talk about that a little more as well. So, yeah, no program Monday. And so condolences again to CC. And we told you about the Dominican collapse of this nightclub in Dominica. I think the death toll now has risen to 250. Some floor in this nightclub collapsed. 250 people died in that. At least 250 people died. I want to also remind you that today is the 399th day since Sergeant Alex Vaughan was shot and killed, as what they say, by a colleague of his. They say it was accidental. And 399 days have passed, and you're not hearing much about that matter. We're going to continue to remind people about that. Now, for some of the happier announcements, today is the birth anniversary of a legend, a Guyanese legend, cultural legend. I refer to no other than Mr. Ron Robinson. Those of us who used to listen to radio and think then, Ron Robinson. He had programs in the night, and then we go to the cultural center, and No Big Thing and Swan. Ron was a staple in Guyanese culture. Today, Ron is celebrating his birthday. Always have a voice crack. Whenever I see him, he always have. Ron is everything. He's a folklorist, he's a comedian, he's everything. Everything Ron is. So Ron is celebrating his birthday today. And then we had some recent birthdays. Assistant Commissioner Matthew Kingston, celebrated recently. Retired Senior Superintendent Lyndon Isles. Patrick Toro, who is normally on this very vocal. Toro he celebrated recently as well. I think it might have been yesterday. Toro celebrated. And in case you all know, Toro was a police, Toro was a soldier. He went the rounds. Also celebrating recently was Lennox Braffett, the national rifleman. He too was a police at the TSU Armory with good luck and those boys there. Then retired Detective Superintendent Cecil Tyndall. We used to call it Joe Tyndall. When I did junior officers course, I think it was 1980, course number 5. Joe was a member of that course as well. And then we have retired member Valda Tanner. Our number was 15398. She celebrated recently. And we have one coming up tomorrow, I think, or so. And a student, he's here, Zar. He goes as Kurt on the program here. Zar is celebrating a birthday today. I want to wish all those who are Zar is celebrating tomorrow. I want to wish all those who are celebrating today, who celebrated recently, and who are celebrating in the near future, all the best, and may God continue to bless and guide you. Let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then we are going to move on. The introduction was a little long. CC, welcome, my brother. Welcome. Again, condolences to you on the passing and the burial of your brother.
Morning. Thank you. Happy to be in the land of the living to do God's work. Praise the Lord. Wish to express my appreciation, my thanks to you, Paul, and all those persons who sympathize with me or otherwise in relation to the death of my brother. It was overwhelming. You know, people from all walks of life call me in various forms, they express their sympathy. I wish to say a great big thank you. I spent a couple of days in Kokwani, and it was a good family reunion. We had family breakfast, family lunch, family dinner, all in one. But the amazing thing is that I took about 5 hours traveling from Linden to Kokwani. On the way up the road was really, really bad. But coming back, it was a little better because they started to grade it. So let me express my appreciation on behalf of the family to all those persons who sympathize with us. And then I realized, Paul, at Kokwani, we have a whole lot of students. A whole lot of students will reach out to me. Reach out to me. Even one woman came and she gave me a monetary contribution. She said she's from Kokwani, but she's working in Georgetown. And she said she doesn't want her name to be mentioned, but she's on the program. Either she get it live or she get it otherwise. So, and I say a whole lot of persons, over a dozen students reach out to me, and express their thanks for the work that we're doing, and I tell them that we keep it up. Now, Milton Paidano, I know him well. He was in the early stage where he was Milton Primo from Smithfield, West County. I know that he was an excellent wicketkeeper, batsman. And my brother that died, I buried, that he was also an excellent wicketkeeper and batsman. And a lot of people said, even on our discussion in cricket at Kokwani, they says Paidano peeping out. Because Paidano, they were the same age group. Paidano used to go as Primo, and then he changed his name to Paidano. And Paidano, due to Paidano, my brother, the saying, could not have made the Barbies team or the Guyana team or the West Indies team, but so be the life. And I know Paidano well too, because he had some children, some sons who we named after cricketers, one after Rohan Kanai. I know he was an excellent wicketkeeper, good pace and spin. He could keep well, but amazing in the batting. He couldn't read leg spin googly. And I remember a match Guyana playing Barbados in Barbados, and said, Pai, if you can't, we know you can't read all forward, so play up on the front foot. I know you're back foot, play up on the front foot, don't play back foot. And Pai went in and bat, and the first ball he faced was against Halford, David Halford. And I remember the commentator with Spiro, and it's Halford to Paidano. Off the back foot, and he's out, LBW! They're pushing him, play up on the front foot because I can't read the man, and he got up on the back foot, and the first ball out LBW. But apart from that, he was a wonderful person, and I wish to express my sympathy to all members of the bereaved family.
Yeah, I had the privilege of being involved in that team at an early age when I was there. I think I was the inspector. I used to be first as a fan, and then as a scorer, and then as a manager to that team. Kingston, yeah, somebody's telling me is Michael Kingston, assistant commissioner. I said Matthew Kingston, yes, was a traffic man rank who went to me with the UN in Namibia. So maybe that's why I made the mistake. So my apologies. Michael Kingston, assistant commissioner, is the one who celebrated his birthday recently. Right. So yeah, Steve. Yeah, and Steve is saying here that Ron Robinson, best impersonation was the late Larry Lewis, late Commissioner of Police, Trinky Lowe. Trinky, wasn't it? Was Trinky Lowe, a character from one of the Shakespeare's play. But yeah. So, but the thing with him, I think they were at QC together. They were at QC together, Ron and the late Larry Lewis. let me move on. As we said to you, that this week is Holy Week, started on Sunday with Palm Sunday. I am a Christian, right? I am not the. Let me be frank. I'm not a church-going Christian who's there, but I believe and I do things that I believe are worthy in the sight of the Lord. And I was a little taken back on Sunday, taken back when I saw a picture and a news item of the president, Irfan Ali, in church in New Amsterdam on Palm Sunday. Irfan Ali in church on Sunday in New Amsterdam. Can't remember which church it was. And then I recall, when I see the thing, I said, look at these people, hypocritical. Election year. Tell you all, election year, all sorts of strange things will happen. And I remember I'm going to read a passage from the Bible here for you and give a little interpretation, right? And I'm reading from Galatians 6:7. It says, do not be deceived. God is not mocked. He will not allow himself to be ridiculed, nor treated with contempt, nor allow his precepts to be scornfully set aside. And they say it simply means, and that is the end of the passage, but my explanation, it simply means that there are going to be consequences for disrespecting or defying God. One cannot escape the ultimate judgment of a higher power for actions that they dishonor or defy God. To see the president in church, and then I understand the vice president who will come out tomorrow afternoon and curse people and all this type of thing, right? He at some Hindu function, and some people will tell you, some people will claim, it is normally claimed that many of the people, I'm not saying the two, or many of them are atheists, they don't believe in God. But as I've said, this is election time, election year. All of them can suddenly find religion in an effort to try to hoodwink, to fool people. But don't worry now, look at the past, look at the records. Look at the records. Look at the records. The last time I recall seeing the president in the church was when Ransford Goodluck funeral sometime last year. Last time. We know the previous president, David Granger, he was a churchman. People say he was too much of a churchman. That is why he allowed them to get away with all type of skullduggery. But it was a little disquieting and disturbing to me as a Christian to see the president in church. You didn't even know what really going on there. You didn't even know, read it, ask him to tell you about the 23rd Psalm. He will tell you he is Muslim. You don't know nothing about that. Ask him to tell you anything about the Bible, some Bible story. Yeah, no, but there he is in church in New Amsterdam. Let me tell you this, yeah. When I was commanding Boris, I used to go to church frequently in New Amsterdam. And I tell you, I can't be a politician because I too straightforward. Had I been in church, right? Had I been in any church and the president walked in, and we're talking about regular service, we're not talking about any funeral or something, I can make it known I would have walked out. That day, the good Lord would have forgiven me. The good Lord would have forgiven me because I would have walked out. And I would have made it known, not necessarily verbally, but people would have come to realize that I'm walking out because of that type of hypocrisy. Right? So that is what we had there that day. Let me move on to something else before bringing Mr. Conway. I want to tell you all about let me bring Mr. Conway for him to comment if he wants on this spectacle of the president being in church. CC, are you there? I don't think CC is there, so let me move on. Now, we're telling you all over and over about the problems at the management level in the Guyana Police Force. We talk about it, and we will continue to talk about it. We talk about the crisis in management in the Guyana Police Force. A lot of incompetent people, a lot of people who are in position solely because of their ethnicity. That's all right there. And that is an opening for me to tell you that I recently learned that Senior Superintendent M. Nat Shah, remember him? He was the man who was in Region 1 in September last year when they found 4.4 tons of cocaine. Remember that incident in the region there? They had the operation conducted by they said Drug Enforcement Agency or Authority for the U.S., the CANU, the Custom and Anti-Narcotics Unit of Guyana, and they had GDF Special Forces. No police was involved in that operation, none at all. None. 4.4 tons of cocaine discovered buried in the Matthews Ridge Region 1 area. He was the commander. Kaicho News carried a thing to say that the commander was fingered. Fingered. And when we talk about fingering, we have to talk about literally fingered. It's a figure of speech. He was fingered in this drug. That's what it said. And then he was removed from the Region 1 and sent to the transport workshop, the police transport workshop, where he took over from a cadet officer. This is a senior superintendent, took over the transport workshop from a cadet officer. Right? All right. Shortly thereafter, we learned that they were trying to elevate him by moving him from the transport workshop to be the second in command of operations in the police force. There was a outcry. The media picked up on it, and the media asked questions and so on, and they denied. But we saw the letter, the posted letters, we saw that. And then they put him back to the transport workshop. Now we are hearing that he has moved again from the transport workshop. He's now with the Cali Special Project Unit. The office, we understand, is somewhere in the Mountain Branch compound. Well, one of the last persons they put there, and not because of incompetence, but because they didn't like how he operated, was Edmund Cooper. And unfortunately, Edmund Cooper apparently took on and died. He died sometime last year. So that is where SAR has been sent now from Region 1 because of drugs and all this, everything there on there. And they said, according to Kaicho News, he was fingered in it, moved from there to transport workshop, taken over from a cadet officer. This is a senior superintendent. In case you all know the rank structure, you get commissioner, you get deputy commissioner, you get assistant commissioners and senior superintendents. So he's in the fourth rung in the force, put to take over transport workshop from a cadet officer. I'm hearing that the transfer or the posting as it should be is not just a movement. I hear there's more in the mortar than the pestle. Allegations have been made. Allegations of impropriety. That is what it is. And we hear that the man moved. But again, it shows what's going on. The instability. We told you all some time ago about Pazram, the man at C Division, moved from C Division to Special Project Unit. Moved from there to Audit Unit. Moved from Audit Unit back to C Division. All within the space of a few months. All within the space of a few months. And it shows those are examples of what is going on in the force. Examples. Let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then we're gonna CC. I see like you have some issues there, my friend.
Yeah, issues with the computer. I'm now using my phone.
All right. I show you all the comments I made. So you're sure you want to comment on those things that I've just mentioned. The thing about moving. Go ahead.
I want to hear about Saul and the Saul, and can you mention the Saul? Tell you that the police is already succession planning.
We're not hearing you properly. We're not hearing you properly. A lot of noise, a lot of static.
I'm saying in relation to sound, there's a clear indication that there is no succession planning. There's no career development in the police force. Just scary movements.
All right. So see if you get your computer working because it's a lot of static in the phone, and we can hardly hear what you're saying. Right. So that is it for that matter. Now let me tell you of another matter. Again, indication of what is going on. Let me say congratulations to retired Assistant Commissioner Kevin Adonis, Sergeants Fraser, Sergeant Corbin, and Corporal Haynes. These forces were charged. They were charged for conspiracy to commit felony and many other offenses. Another targeting of a set of people in the police force. I think at the time when Adonis was charged, he was already retired. Well, last Friday, the matter was dismissed on no case submission. Again, no case submission. So again, no case submission. That is to say, when they presented a case against these officers, the officer Adonis and these other ranks, when the magistrate looked at it, magistrate said no prima facie case, no case has been made out, and the matter was dismissed. The matter was dismissed against them. And that is one of many. That is how it is going. So I say to Calvin Brutus, dismiss assistant commissioner, there's hope for you. There is hope for you, because apart from the one law book thieving matter that got past no case submission, all of these matters brought by SOCU, where people plead not guilty, tend to be to go following no case submission. So the matters were dismissed against all of them on Friday. And 3 of them are serving members of the force, so they were interdicted. I'm referring here now to Sergeant Fraser, Sergeant Corbin, and Corporal Ains. They were all serving members of the force at the time, 4 years ago when they were charged. And they were interdicted and placed in half pay. So the thing now is for them to be reinstated. But we have seen in recent times, part of the continued vindictiveness is that they're going to hear that they appeal. You're appealing a matter that is dismissed at no case submission. They're going to hear the appeal and keep the people dragged out there for a long time. They're going to appeal. Whereas a man who was charged for some sexual offense, the matter was disposed of in labor time, and the man was reinstated almost immediately after he got off. But you have people who get off from charge. Since 2023 December, I'm referring specifically to Assistant Commissioner Andrews Jr., and up to now, he can't be reinstated. Since December the 28th, if my memory serves me correct, the matters were discharged. We were all charged together for conspiracy to commit fraud. He was charged too with misconduct in public office. Matters, no case submission. The magistrate in a ruling, an extensive ruling, said there was absolutely no evidence. No, not an iota of evidence. That's the word she used. And then reinstating that man. And I can tell you now, right now as we speak, they got at least 2 people. Well, let me tell one who is charged with a criminal offense and before the court. This is an officer I'm referring to. He has not been interdicted. He continues to work even though he is before the court. He continues to work even though he has matters, or at least a matter before the court. And you don't have to guess what ethnicity he is. I ain't giving you no money for guess because it is clear forward. That is what we're saying. That is what we're talking about. The discrimination against a particular set of people. The evidence is there. As we have said to you over and over when we come to speak, we have evidence to support what we're saying. We're not just going by rumors and all that. We make sure. We hear a lot of things, We hear a lot of things, but we don't come and tell you in this classroom about that because many of them have not been verified. They have not been corroborated. And we're not going to come here and give you information, then it turned out to be false. We're not going to do that. A man charged, officer, police officer, we say officer, is a gazetted officer before the court and then interdicted. He has not been interdicted. These men who were interdicted 4 years ago, right? Let's see what will happen. Because the procedure is clear. Once a person is charged criminally, policeman I'm referring to, and before the court, the man is interdicted from the date he appeared in court. And when the matter is completed, because when you're interdicted, the interdiction, it will say you're interdicted pending the outcome of the charge. Pending the outcome. That implies if the outcome is favorable to the individual, that man is going to be reinstated. And if the outcome is unfavorable, because once you're convicted, you can't be reinstated in the force. But matter, and they drag it out, the people are not, in many cases, they're not reinstating people. As a matter of fact, they even go further than that. As I told you all before in the case, with the Quinton Bacchus case, where they charged one man for murder and 2 others, and the day they appeared in court on the 5th of July 2022, the extended squatter dismissed them on the same day, from the same date. So there was no due process. There was no presumption of innocence. And that is what is happening. And tomorrow, when Tantimore speaks, they're going to talk about that. All them type of discrimination. And the force, because of that and other things, is demoralized because people are blind. They are not blind. They're seeing what is happening. They're not like not, 00 not. Man license to LB, as they say now. They're getting politically correct. Crow say, when Crow did a Skoko song, license to something, the song I'm going to tell you all about it, Crow, the Trinidadian Calypso, say, right? The license to Lick Bottom, right? He said the license for Lick Bottom. Or Bottom get a lot of other synonyms and so on, BT, Bamsey, and all this type of thing they get. Yeah. So they're going to talk about those things, but the discrimination is clear. It is clear as crystal for everyone to see. Let me see if Mr. Conway can get back in now. Give me one moment. Yes, CC, I think you're back in.
Yeah.
Good. Right. All right, you got your phone. I think you're still on with your phone, so you got to take off. You have to All right, let me see if I can do something from my end. I may be able to take you out to the studio. Right. So let me bring you back in, Right, CC, I've taken you out from my end, so you can I made comments on the president being at the church in New Amsterdam on Sunday. I spoke about Saw being his musical chairs moving around from one place to the next. And I just spoke about the dismissal of the charges against Adonis and those other ranks at no case submission. Your views, my brother. Are you hearing me? Can you hear me? It appears as though he's not hearing me. So let me continue. CC, just in case we can't hear you. Apparently you're not hearing me. But I can't hear you. Let me move on. To tell you. Now, there's an issue. Let me see if I have it lined up. Let me see if I have it lined up. There was over a couple of days, from Monday, they all right, I have it lined up. So I can tell you what I'm saying. Permit me a minute. Let me call Mr. Conway to tell him I think he's trying to get back in to the studio. Now we have, in case you don't know, they have what we call the IPARAG. IPARAG is the International Decade for People of African Descent, Guyana. Right? IPARAG, International Decade for the People of African Descent, Guyana. Now, the United Nations declared the other decade from people of African descent. The first decade was from 2015 to 2024. Apparently, little was achieved during that period of time. So they now have a second decade from 2025 onwards, 2034. So they have been meeting, have frequent meeting sessions, as they call them, at the United Nations, where people from around the world, Africans from around the world, will go and talk about some of the issues they face. Because one of the main things in the discussion is reparations. That people of African descent were brought, Africans were brought from the continent, enslaved, brought to Europe and the Americas and so on, do a lot of work. They were not adequately compensated. When slavery ended, the people who owned the slaves were compensated, but the slaves were not compensated. So the argument has gone on for a long time to say that something should be done to compensate the descendants of these Africans. And let me tell you, because sometimes you hear the argument, how you're going to know who the people are, how you're going to... It's not only about monetary compensation, it's about a recognition that the system discriminates against people of African descent. That is not now. The system discriminates against these people. And I don't want to go into all the history in Guyana now. So you have it. Last year, December, they had a session there. I attended as part of the IPARAG team. One of the reasons we could not have had the program on Monday because I was due to attend again with the IPADG team, but unfortunately there was some mix-up with my accreditation, and I could not have gone. Had I known that before, I would have run the program solo on Monday. But we're going to make up for that. Now, we have going on now a session, they say, in New York, going on right now. Started on Monday, I think it ends on Friday. IPADG, the International Decade for People of African Descent, Guyana, is represented. The president or the chairman of that body is Vincent Alexander. Guyana has a, the delegation there. Let me show you. This is Guyana delegation. Well, Caroline Rodriguez, good woman. She is the UN, Guyana's permanent representative to the UN. And this person you see here, he represents the ERC, the Ethnic Relation Commission. We're going to talk about that some more. Joseph Hamilton, Minister of Labor, went there to represent the government. Joseph Hamilton went to represent the government, right? And the man made some statements there. I'm going to play a clip of the statement. The part of it that he made is a short news item, and then we're going to talk about it at the end there. Oh, by then Mr. Conway gets in. So let me play this tip for you. Listen carefully, folks. Here we go.
Joseph Hamilton has been accused of lying to the United Nations Permanent Forum on People of African Descent.
The development of Afro-Guyanese and Guyanese as a whole in Guyana, multi-ethnic nation, is a priority for my government. We have embarked on a transformative agenda which is rapidly changing the economic and physical infrastructure of the country. This is deliberately matched with initiatives that ensure greater inclusion and participation of all citizens in the goods, services, and opportunities available.
He said that all Guyanese, including Afro-Guyanese, are benefiting from the programs being pursued by the government.
In terms of the right of education and human resource development, the Guyana Online Academy of Learning has awarded thousands of scholarships over the last 4 years, providing free online education. This is aimed at creating a modern workforce, including by facilitating access for residents of rural and remote areas. As of this year, free education at our territory level is now offered to all Guyanese. An annual cash grant is given to every child from nursery to secondary level.
But the forum wanted to know what was being done for Afro-Guyanese as opposed to the entire country.
The African Guyanese community, descendants of the enslaved, has been systematically marginalized and remains disproportionately at the bottom of the economic and social order. Education, land rights, entrepreneurship, and political representation all reflect this exclusion.
That was Vincent Alexander on behalf of IPADG. He said that the literature in the schools continues to ignore the contribution of the Guyanese of African descent.
Ancestral lands acquired through the historic village movement are being seized without compensation through institutional and legal manipulations. And in spite of legal provisions, a functioning Human Rights Commission has yet to be constituted 20 years on. The government of Guyana, whilst vocally supporting reparations abroad, as was done here today, has not implemented a single dedicated national policy to repair the internal legacies of enslavement.
He said that African Guyanese are blamed for their circumstances. He said that even the Ethnic Relations Commission at the forum is represented by someone other than an African Guyanese.
The time for polite silence is over. We ask this forum to stand with us for justice, equality, and repair. Thank you.
Yeah, well, you heard what Joseph Hamilton said. Well, the man talk about something that I don't know what he was really talking about. Well, you know, Joseph Hamilton, Polari Joe, is a Biko. You know what is a Biko? B-I-C-O. He's black in color only. Black in color only. For him to go to that body and lie, and the man apparently missed the bus. This is about what is being done for Africans, and all the countries will tell you what is being done for the descendants of slaves, African Guyanese. The man talking in some generalities. The man came there with generalities, but talking about the whole of Guyana. That body is not interested in what is happening to the whole of Guyana. The international decade is to focus on what is happening or what will be things will be put in place to deal with Africans, the descendants of African slaves, and to see this African descendant to go there and talk all kind of nonsense. He has not addressed a single issue relating to what is being done to improve the life of African Guyanese. And let me compliment Vincent Alexander, because sometimes you go to these forums and people want to be politically correct, so they don't respond. But Vincent called you out in real time. Vincent called him out in real time, and that is what you have to do with these people. For Hamilton to go there and talk about online about gold, this man has no shame. The thing was in the news recently. Gold turned up to be a fiasco, not even being recognized by some of the universities and all of that. It was a waste of money. What's 10 billion or something like that they spend on gold? And check out what gold is. The Guyana Online Academy of Learning, he has awarded thousands of scholarships over the last 4 years, providing free online education. If you're going to go to this forum, and if that is the case, you must tell them how many Afro-Guyanese benefited from that program. But you can't come in general terms. If people are not interested, what happened to the other ethnicities? It's about what is being done to better the lives of African Guyanese. And Joseph Hamilton went there and talked a lot of nonsense. What you said, as of this year, free education at tertiary level, you can't even call the word tertiary. He said free education at tertiary level or something like that. Must listen back to it. Free education at tertiary level is now offered to all Guyanese. Again, this is not about all Guyanese. Annual cash grant is given to every child. This is not about that. The forum that he was at is not about that. It's about what is being done for Guyanese. And let me remind Joe Hamilton, Pelori Joe, that he might not remember, but is it this government removed free education? When I started university in the late 80s and the early 90s, it was free. It was free education, Barnum plan, free education from nursery to university. The PPP government, when it came in 1992, stopped that. So for Joseph Hamilton to go there to the UN now to tell people, oh, we introduced, it was there, you remove it. You must explain that perhaps you reintroduce it, having stopped it some years ago. You brought in what they call cost recovery. I was caught in my latter years at UG having to pay, which I did incidentally. I know a lot of people did not pay the student loan and so on. I pay off my student loans years ago. So this man is shameless, Joe Hamilton. Shameless. He's shameless. And I'm glad, it was there. And I said Vincent was there, and Vincent responded to him. I should have been there, but because of circumstances, I could not. And probably it's a good thing, because I might have done what I did when they had the address to the nation. I say, you lie. I might have been tempted to shout out openly. You lie, which might have been deemed inappropriate. I might have been evicted from the place. So it's difficult to sit down and to hear these people tell all of these lies. And Vincent alluded to the fact that they have the ERC, the Ethnic Relations Commission of Guyana, is being represented at the forum there. And look, the representative, this man here, Muin Haq, the husband of the Director of Public Prosecutions, who, as they say, is a Muslim cleric. A Muslim cleric representing the Ethnic Relations Commission of Guyana at this forum dealing with Black people's story. He is there. And the ERC has Africans in it, Ras Kafra and others. He told the forum, I understand from the reporting, that Norris Witter, who is also on the ERC, should have gone there, but they say he did not go for some reason, some explanation. But I saw a news clip where Norris said that he did not go because this thing was being financed by the government. The trip to the UN, he said that it's clear you're not going to get involved in that. If they're independent, if they're a constitutional body, government should have to be giving them financing them for them to go. They should have had their own resources to decide who should go. And you know, it's not the first time. It is not the first time, because a previous year, when they had this forum, Nia Suman represented the ERC. Rian Suman, an Indian, represented the ERC to talk about black people business. This time around, they identified some Amerindian man on the ERC to go. Then there was an uproar, and I said, Norris, this man representing the Ethnic Relation Commission to talk about what the government and about ethnic relations in general in Guyana. And that is what you call, old people say, is raspas. That is what people say. Old people say so. I wouldn't say that. But old people say that is raspas. You want to tell me you got Rascafra, you get Norris, right? And all these people, and E going. And let me tell you too, that last year, December, when they had the forum, they did not go at all. There was no representation from Guyana. There was no representation. Ipadaji was represented. There was no representation from Guyana at that time. The permanent representative who you see there did not attend. I attended all the sessions from the Monday right through to the, I think I had a break on the Wednesday for this program, and then I went back all the way to Friday. They did not attend. And it was obvious because all the other countries, they had the labels there. Guyana was not represented there. Ipadaji was represented and presentations were made. I made a brief presentation as well. I am listed to make a presentation tomorrow afternoon. We have got to talk about these things. It's uncomfortable for some of them, but the truth has a way of being uncomfortable to those who don't like to hear the truth. Now, let me hope that Mr. Conway has been able to sort his thing out, and let me bring him in. CC, hope that you been able to sort yourself out, my brother. Go ahead.
Not really, computer. I've seen you, but I'm not hearing you.
You're seeing me, but you're not hearing me. But the students are hearing me, which means there's something wrong at your end, brother. You got to keep trying. I didn't hear you.
I have to get somebody to start on the computer because
You got a lot of static and so on. And if you're not hearing me, that means there's something wrong because the students have indicated that they're hearing me loud and clear, but something is wrong at your end.
I'll continue to listen to you.
All right. Okay, my brother. All right. Yeah, so that is what is going on. As you have seen, Mr. Conway has some technical issues. So it look like I got to be, what is call it, last man, but out now. What is it? One tip, well, one tip, two tip. No, it's not one tip, two tip. This is one tip. I got to bat alone. I got to bat alone today, which I'm capable of doing, which I'm capable. Somebody said Mary says she's hearing him, but I hear a lot of static, and he is not hearing me, which is, he can't hear me, he says. He's not hearing me. So we're going to see how we're going to go through this for today. And yeah, somebody, we said he should log out and try to come. I bought in at both end, Batin Sweet. Cherry tell me was bought at both end, man. Somebody, Wama bought out and all this everything. Yeah. So that is what we have. First, continue to share. Continue to share. We're going to talk more about this as we go on. But let me tell you something that I saw too recently. You know, we reported here on the issue of this man, Gali Khan, who shot and killed his girlfriend, and they say he shoot himself, attempted to commit suicide. He shot himself. That is what is being reported. Now, let me pull up my notes, man. Let me pull up my notes. It said that he was charged with murder yesterday. Hear what the police release said. Be informed that on the 8th of this month, Gali Khan, a male Guyanese of African descent, a businessman of Lamar Springs, Georgia, was arrested. We arrested Williams, something that was right, they don't check back, and charged with the offense of murder committed on Marissa Beat, which occurred on Tuesday, April 8th. At Parfait Harmony, West Bank, Demerara. A lot of things, you know, I say repeatedly, the police corporate propaganda unit is so incompetent, and it seems as though nobody is checking what they're writing. So they say, be informed that Khan was arrested on the 8th, and he was, the incident occurred on the 8th, so they arrested him. He was charged with murder, contrary to common law. Charge was laid contrary to common law. The accused appeared before her worship, at the Wales Magistrate Court, where the charge was read to him. He was not required to plea. He was remanded to prison until May the 27th. Well, when I read the thing, I was a bit taken back. I said murder contrary to common law. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So I had to go and I had to check, because as far as I'm aware, murder is contrary to Section 100 of the Criminal Law Offences Act, Chapter 8:101 of the laws of Guyana. That is what I know murder is. That's a section for murder. So I reached out to some people, and I'm reaching out here again because I know attorneys and so on listen to this program, to enlighten us whether murder, you can charge for murder under common law. And for those of you who don't know, including policemen, listen to me. Let me, A is common law, and A is criminal law and common law. We did this in training school. I remember very well. We did it in training school, right? And here what it says. In Guyana, criminal law deals with offenses against the state, while common law is a broad term referring to a body of law derived from judicial decisions and legal precedents rather than statutes. Guyana has a system combining common law principles with civil law. Let me explain that before we go a little further. When we talk about statutes, we talk about laws that are passed in Parliament. So those are statute law. Common law, as they explain here, are decisions derived from judicial decision. Some of them will tell you based on practices and all this everything. So you get common law. So you get statute law, you get common law. It goes on. Criminal law. What is criminal law? This area of law focuses on acts that are deemed harmful to society as a whole and are prosecuted by the state. Criminal offenses including crime like murder, theft, assault, and drug trafficking. If found guilty, individuals may face imprisonment, fines, or other penalties. Now, let me talk about that a little, because they say harmful society as a whole and are prosecuted by the state. Now, there is also provision for private criminal charges, as I had explained in some previous program, right? But they talk about the state prosecuting. But not only the state can prosecute, you can bring private criminal charge against someone as well. Now, common law. What is common law? It says in Guyana, common law is the body of law developed through court decision and legal precedents, particularly influenced by English common law. It is not just a single area of law like criminal law, but a foundational legal principle. Common law principles guide judicial decision making in various areas, including contract law, tort law, and constitutional law. In simpler terms, common law is about specific crimes and who is responsible for them, whereas common law, that's criminal law, is about specific crimes and who is responsible for them, while common law is about the overall approach to legal decision making, particularly the use of past court decisions. I have seen in recent times, and again I say I am not a lawyer, but maybe some of our lawyer friends can at some stage enlighten us. Because I have seen in recent times a lot of charges are being filed contrary to common law. Contrary to common law. So they're saying there's no statute. In other words, Parliament never met and passed this law, but these are offenses against traditions and all of that. And I don't know that murder is one of those. As I explained here, murder is catered for in the laws of Guyana, Section 100 of the Criminal Law Offences Act, Chapter 8:01. Murder is catered for in that. Now, the man went to court yesterday, Ali Khan. Ali Khan went to court yesterday. Let me get the article to read, because I have some things I want to discuss with you students. You know, I'm not alone today, but I'm gonna make sure I do an equally good job. right? Equally good job. So y'all bear with me. And this is Kaicho News of today. It says United States drug trafficking convict. Hear what I say. Let me start it back. Today's Kaicho News, friends. The U.S. drug trafficking convict, Gali Khan, was remanded on Tuesday to prison for the murder of his ex-girlfriend, 30-year-old Marisa Beat. Tuesday yesterday, they're talking about. The 47-year-old businessman of Lamar Springs, Georgetown, shot and killed Beat on April 8, 2025, before shooting himself at the woman's home in West Bank, Demerara. He was admitted to the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation under police guard. Following his discharge from the hospital on Monday, Khan was charged with the offense of murder. Khan appeared at the Wales Magistrate Court with his lawyers, and they named the lawyers here. The magistrate read the indictable charge to him. He was not required to enter a plea. The matter was adjourned to May 27, 2025. One of the lawyers, told Kaicho News that the defense has submitted a request to the court for a psychiatric evaluation to determine whether Khan is fit to stand trial. It goes on, he informed the court that this is not the first Khan's suicide attempt. It's not a force, he did it. And then he go on, he attempted suicide, the court in here now, he attempted suicide 4 times, twice in the month of March and twice in April prior to this incident. That is what the lawyer is said to have told the magistrate. As a result, the magistrate ordered psychiatric evaluation and a voir dire to assess Khan's competence to stand trial. Additionally, court directed government services to conduct an independent psychiatric assessment. Now, there's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot to unpack. I see, Ulrich, come on. Ulrich, you must tell me if you're aware about a murder charge under common law. You know, you're a whole experienced policeman, and I respect some of you knowledge and judgment. Khan is charged for murder under common law. I say I didn't know that. I don't know everything, but I don't know that you can charge a murder under common law. But the man appeared in court, and here what his lawyer is telling the magistrate. Let me read it back. They want a psychiatric evaluation to determine whether this man is fit to stand trial. Right? Then they say, they told the court, it is not the first, he informed the court, it was not the first suicide attempt. He attempted suicide 4 times, twice in the month of March and twice in April prior to this incident. And here, I ain't done there. Let me tell you, this is a man who they claim, according to the police report, he shot his girlfriend dead. Then they say he turned the gun and he shot himself in the head. Well, yesterday when he going to court, look at this man going to court. This man, look, Guyana is not a real place. This is the man who shot himself in the head to attempt suicide. And this is him yesterday. Yesterday, Tuesday the 15th, going to court. This man, and then the lawyer said, no, this man attempted suicide 4 times for this month. This man ain't really want to kill himself. This man ain't want to kill himself. He can't. Could not have been serious. He want to kill himself. He just bluffing somebody. He played, as I would say, he played death to see what funeral he can get. But this cannot be a man who shot himself in the head. And let me put it here. No bandage at the time. So which part of the head? Maybe we can't see the back of the head. So maybe it's at the back somewhere. You know, got no bandage on this man head. And they said this is a man who shoot himself in the head. Right? That's what they say. But more than that, as the article started by saying, this man is a drug convict, deported from the U.S. Right? And at the back, they tell you something. At the time, he was the whole thing. The other party that in 2023, kind of businessman was resentenced to 18 months to 18-month term. Some 2 years after he was sentenced to 9 years in prison for drug trafficking and skipping bail. After serving 18-month sentence, he was deported to Guyana. Now imagine that. This is the man who was sentenced in the States and served time. Came back, he's a licensed firearm holder. And more than that, the man is part of the security, the private security apparatus in Guyana. He either owns or have some management capacity in some company. The man, as we see, is a licensed firearm holder, a drug convict, a deportee. And as we talk about friends and favorites, you got to look at it, because during the 2020 elections and the what followed thereafter, he was big with the PPP. There was no secret. He was there. He think he was an observer and all of that. And shortly after that, he self-deported to the US, where he served his time. This same man, a drug convict, convicted for drug trafficking in the US, sentenced to 9 years in the first instance. Get away, come to Guyana. Then around 2020 or sometime then, the man self-deport. In other words, he left and got to the States. I don't know if he got a deal or what, but then he was resentenced to 18 months. He served 18 months, deported to Guyana. The man is big in the private security sector of Guyana. I think he's the vice president or something like that. In the private security sector, the man is a licensed firearm holder and get control over other firearms. And they're telling you that this man needs psychiatric evaluation. They tell you this man needs psychiatric evaluation. The man is so big in this private security thing. All because, I am saying this, all because of his connections to the government. That was allowed to happen. All because of his connections to the government. And I say this, I said normally by now, I said to bring him Mr. Conway, but I'm sure CC can hear me now or what. I say this, they have many more, not necessarily drug convicts, many more people running around the place with guns who should not get guns. Many more running around with guns. There should be nowhere close to a firearm. And that is what you have. They need psychiatric evaluation where you don't kill this young woman. Remember they had one in Alexander Village some years back, where I think it was a member of the GDF, empty a pistol on a woman. Empty a pistol. Empty. We had one recently at East Bank. Probably Diamond somewhere there, where the man shot the woman that he lived on with. They said 12 times because they claim that it was self-defense she attacked him. A lot of people around the place should not get nowhere near the firearm. But in this case, once Jackie Opel comes in and people pay, everybody getting gun. Once Jackie Opel come and you pass the money at those places that Mr. Conway would normally talk about, everybody getting gun. Too many guns in the tongue. Spice and Company, no? I think it's Spice and Company. Too many guns. I wrote a letter some time ago on that. Too many guns in the tongue. If somebody say, Ben saying anything, well, Ben ain't gonna say nothing, because every time Ben talk, Ben put his feet in his mouth. And Ben is more busy now dealing with fires. Remember, Neville Combat called out about he going to fire scene and he directed. He showed the tape with that to telling them to put your hose at the source of the fire. Now, the man, and look, this is a special character, Robeson Man, Minister of Home Affairs, special character. Over the weekend, they had this big fire somewhere in the highway at some sawmill, big raging fire. It was carried on live in many cases. Now, Ben and only going out to tell people put your hose at the source of the fire. Look, this is a photograph with him there in the same area. And look, man, look, the man gone a stage further. What's Ben reeling out hose? Ben on the fire scene, reeling out hose. The man is now actively involved in the firefighting process. Look. So the man sticking that to combats. Combats can say what you want to say. Ben is at the fire scene, assisting the fire officers to reel out hose. Well, he should have, the only thing missing there, he should have get on the protective gears and so on. Because you see the firemen are properly dressed with their protective clothes and so on. But the Minister of Home Affairs, Robeson Ben, look at him there. Look at him. The man who on hose, the man posing. And you think guy easy? I think guy easy, right? That is what, the man is a firefighter. One how much training he had. And I believe he's doing that to get back at Cowater. So you talking, I can continue to go of the fire seals, and I ain't only going out to order them, but I'm going to be a part of the process to fight fire. That is ropes and men you are seeing there, folks. That is ropes and men. Well, he didn't put on, Brennan asked him, maybe he never got to the stores and get his suit. He ain't get to the store and get his suit. But I want him to do the same thing when bills are on fire. So you could go there and pay, maybe the fate of Mambo, he may suffer. That is what you got to do. But, you know, again, I got to bring these things to your attention. I'm going to share the live and give you a thumbs up. You don't get enough thumbs up. Share the live and give you a thumbs up. We're going into some other issues now. We told you about the Linden incident, and I want to update you on what is going on with the investigation. I want to update you. And let me just remind you, last week, Monday night, policeman shot and killed a young gentleman from Linden. The following day, the people came out and protest. They talk about violent protests and all this time. Not violent protests, they came out and they protest. I got some things to read about it for y'all. Right? They talk about violent protests. Right? And what happened? They light little fire. They threw missiles. One man was shot and killed. The president went up there, I think it would have been Tuesday night, flew in there with helicopter, they say, and spoke to the relatives of the deceased persons, promised them, as is normal, prior investigation, promised them they're going to take care of the funeral. I want to read this thing to you. Hold on. The article says here, and this is news source, because then they also promise that the RSS, the Regional Security System, the RAS, will come to assist with the investigation. That is what they said. And what the article said, this is an article dated news source, April 13. This is when the RSS people arrived. So the investigation team from the Regional Security System joined investigators from the Police Office of Professional Responsibility on Saturday in a visit to Linden on the scene of the two police shooting deaths. So they came in. President announced Tuesday night that the RSS is going to come to assist in the investigation. And they came in, they say sometime Saturday, and they started the investigation. And then they go on to say last Monday, 21-year-old Ronaldo Peters was shot dead by a police sergeant. And the following day, 32-year-old Keon Fudgeny was also shot dead by police during the protests that erupted in the town over the shooting death of Peters. During the visit on Saturday, the investigators met and had discussions with the families of the two men and intended to return today for further talks with the families and eyewitnesses. The meetings with the families are expected to be done in the presence of attorneys now looking into the interests of the two families. The families are hoping for justice to be done in the case and for the policemen responsible to be for the deaths to face the court. Postmortem examinations conducted on Friday found that both men died from single gunshot wounds. Peters was shot in the abdomen, while Fudgeny was shot in the head. In the case of the 21-year-old Peters, after he was chased down by the police sergeant who was dressed in plain clothes and arrived in an unmarked bus, the injured youth was dragged and dumped in the back of the bus. The bus was then driven around the Wismar area before eventually going to the Wismar police station. At the station, there are reports that the young man was bleeding out and slipping in and out of consciousness. He was then transferred to a police vehicle from the private vehicle and taken to the Mackenzie Hospital, but it was too late. He was pronounced dead. That is what is being said. Now we got some things to unpack here. Something to unpack. The RSS came and they're going to assist. They said they're going to go, they're going to get statements from the witnesses and all that. But I have some concerns about what is being reported about what happened Monday night. Then let me go to Tuesday yet. what happened Monday night. This man was shot. We saw that. But we didn't see when he was shot. According to the report, the video circulated. Because the police release claimed that these men were in uniform. That is what the police released, corporate propaganda unit. When the video was surfaced, I don't think the county reported yet, it showed that the man who pursued Peters, because the bus came, a black bus, private bus, came around the corner. The men, this deceased boy and others were sitting there, and he got up and he ran. He was pursued by a man in a white t-shirt. Later, they said that was Sergeant Kendall. And then shortly after, we saw this somebody being dragged out from behind. And it appeared as though that was the man who was shot, dragged out. Police said that the sergeant claimed that he pursued this man who attempted to scale a fence, and he attempted to pull him down from the fence, and the firearm went off accidentally, and he shot him. That is what they claim. Now, all right, according to what he's saying now, one would have thought that if you are responsible, you shoot the man you claim by accident, you would make every effort to get medical attention as quickly as possible. That is driving straight to the hospital. But they claim that they went to Wismar police station with the man, and they transfer him from the bus to the police vehicle, and then from the police vehicle to the hospital. I said before, these investigators, I'm going to talk about them in a short while, got to establish a time frame, because that can show malice and all of that. The video is likely to indicate, the video that was circulated, where the bus came and Peters ran, not Peters, sorry, what is his name? Yeah, Peters ran, and he was pursued by this man in a white t-shirt. They ought to have a timestamp to show when that happened, within a few seconds when this happened. They ought to also have a record as to when Peters was taken to this, whichever hospital he was taken. And that will tell you something, that will tell a story. How long did it take from the time we saw this man being dragged out from the yard to the time he arrived in the hospital? And the suggestion here in this thing that it took some time. They did not take him to seek medical attention immediately. They did not take him to seek medical attention immediately. That is what is being revealed here now. Right, sorry, the man died. So let me fast forward to Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning, people came out and people demonstrated, which was to be expected. I have another article here, trying to see if I can find it. I think I got something here. Which is to be expected demonstration. Apparently there was no preparation. And even when the people came, the people lit a fire. Which is not unusual when you have demonstrations following incidents like these. All over the world. People painting, block the road. What you got to do? You got to, in a case like this, I said it before, that the police are to know, trained policemen, that you have to exercise maximum restraint. These are people who are emotionally disturbed over what has happened. I mean they're mad, but they're vexed, they're outraged. Young man killed. And then you came with a story, and then shortly after the story, you came with your version. You get evidence to show that you're lying. Not going to incense anybody, any reason everybody's going to be incensed. And therefore, you have to recognize that this, but apparently no preparation was made. Then the police went out. I saw the video, Travis Chase covering the thing live with shield and guns and all this type of thing. And let me say this, because I've said it before. Some commentators on social media who don't understand how you deal with public order situations are telling you that they're questioning why the police went out there with guns. There's nothing wrong with the police going out with guns. Nothing wrong with police going out with guns. And then one man did say, every time you see police, they get guns. I want to invite him to go to New York City. And almost every police you see, you're going to see the packing, as you would see. They get a gun in the hip. So nothing wrong with men going with guns, but they have to be properly trained to use. So when it is justified to use a firearm, it is clear that what transpired there on Tuesday last, these people ain't got no proper training, and the leadership was clearly lacking. So all right, they went out. The people start to peel bottle. They claim the officers who were there, I went to the gazetted officers, apparently got injured. So right away, I said, well, how you going out in a situation like that? You ain't get on protective helmet, a protective care, at least the helmet for the officers. In Christ's name. How is it that you're going to get within range where people can peel bottle and injure you, or pelt any missile and injure you? Lack of training. And then I saw a fire was lit, a small fire, relatively small fire was lit. And then I saw the police start to advance. So I'm questioning myself, what are they advancing for? Because based on what I could have seen from the video, imagine it, and you got to understand it was limited, there was no need for them to advance. No need. Hold your ground, make sure the people and damage property and so on, and that is. But then they came out to tell you the damage in government property. What government property? Is the fire on the road? Maybe they're referring to the fire and damage the road. That is what they're referring to as damage up to government property. So no building was damaged or anything like that. Lives weren't really threatened or anything like that. So there was no need. But they went out there, and out of the blues, can't start to pelt, according to the man from Linden years ago, Barhart. In other words, it means that they start to shoot. Yeah, it was caught live on camera. The people were starting to shoot. That's the police. Bow. And I know one wrong, several wrongs you can hear being fired. Several wrongs being fired. And then it transpired that one man was struck and killed. Dan was struck and killed. Now, all right, so there's a synopsis of what transpired. There. The investigators are there from the RSS. Now, the RSS is the regional security system set up some years ago to respond to have a regional response to disasters primarily hurricane. You know, the Caribbean islands are susceptible to hurricane during the hurricane season. So that's what they did. They get this RSS, Regional Security System, headquartered in Barbados, right? Headquarters in Barbados. Now, I do not know that the RSS has an investigative capacity. Let me understand this thing clearly. It's not a case where the RSS has hundreds or dozens of people there in Barbados with them. When there's a situation, they can bring from the member states to deal with it. So if you get a hurricane, Guyana will join, I think, in 2022. You might send troops or assistance. Other countries can come. So they don't have that. So what I understand from what is taking place now is that the RSS or the RASS, having been invited to this investigation, as they were before. I remember they were invited with the Henry boys. They were also invited with the paper shards. They came to review, something like that. They sent somebody to review the investigation. So they came. My understanding is that three of them, I understand, came. 2 are from Barbados, and 1 is from St. Lucia. I don't know the gentlemen. I don't know the people who were sent. I reasonably expect that when a request was made, they would send people with some competence, the Barbados men and the man from St. Lucia. The question is, or not, don't let me go into the question yet. If you're going to bring RSS to investigate, one would have thought that what the government would have done is to let me know the CV of these people. You're coming to investigate a murder. So therefore, inspector this body, sergeant that body, or whatever it is, you will tell us what is the CV, that this man have so many years service. They have been detectives for all these years. They have done so many murder investigation. They are training here, training there, wherever, so that people can understand the background for these people. But you bring 3 people, for all we know, them are cooks. They were cooks in the forces. We don't know, because nobody has said anything as to what the qualifications are. And I said again, I said it before, I am not trying to cast aspersion on these people, because I don't know them. But I would have expected that in a situation like this, we would have been told the background of each of these investigators, how many such investigations they have done, how many homicide investigations they did in Barbados, how many they did in St. Lucia, how many they did involving police shooting. And that would have served to allay whatever fears or whatever fears we have, whatever reservations we might have. But we ain't hear nothing. The people came, the people said they're going to do the investigation, and I don't know, we don't know what's going on. We don't know. So how can we have confidence that a proper, independent, professional investigation will be done? Well, we don't know who the people doing, how we know they come from the RSS. We don't know what the background is. For all you know, when you go into the background, you're going to hear one was a cook, one being in the K9 section, and one being in some Marine section. For all you know, because they have not told us anything. They have not told the public who these people are. And therefore, I have reasons to be skeptical of what is going to be done. I have reasons to be skeptical. And I'm sure many others have reasons to be skeptical as well. Now, let me go to the next issue. The laws of Guyana, and this is the Police Complaints Authority Act of the Laws of Guyana, 17:02. You can go and check it for yourself. Chapter 17:02. I don't know the exact section. Mr. Conway would have read the law to you and so on, but unfortunately, as we have seen, he has issues. He has technical issues. And maybe when we come again, we're going to read it. But it is clear as crystal in the laws of Guyana, that any matter that involves police shooting, where it involves the death of a person, and some other offenses are named in the law, the police commissioner has to inform the Police Complaints Authority, and the Police Complaints Authority has to, by law, supervise the investigation. Let me go back that. That's the laws of Guyana. Police Complaints Authority Act, Chapter 17:02. So policemen here and others who are interested can now, they can go online and get Chapter 17:02 and read it. I can't remember the exact section, but it tells you all of that. That once a report has been made that police caused the death of someone, there are other offenses too. 6 or 7 other offenses, right? It is mandated by law that a report has to be made to the Complaints Authority. And the Complaints Authority has to supervise the investigation. And they tell you that if this Complaints Authority is not satisfied with the quality of the people assigned to do the investigation, he can direct that this investigator be changed. He can direct that the investigator be changed. That is what the law says. And with this matter here now, with the Linden shooting where 3 people died, we're not hearing about any involvement of the Police Complaints Authority, which is mandated by law. So I don't know where we are going. We are hear nothing. We are hear nothing about the Police Complaints Authority. Maybe they are there supervising the investigation, but from the photographic evidence that I have seen, I haven't seen no Police Complaints Authority. So they are immediately going contrary to the law. But remember, it was 2 consecutive years, 2023 and 2024, in the Police Complaints Authority annual report, they call out the Commissioner of Police, Ekin, by name, to say he was not following the law. 2023, the Complaints Authority made a report to the President. I don't know what happened last year when it was presented, but it was there big in the media that the police commissioner, the Complaints Authority complained publicly that the Commissioner of Police, Clifton Ekin, is not following the Police Complaints Authority Act. So I suspect they're not doing this again. And the president jump up and tell us about RSS. And then the Attorney General will come up and say, oh, all that thing will come. Tanti Moore will come and say whatever Tanti Moore usually says. I can't say it on this program, because this is not an X-rated program, right? But that is what you have. How can we be confident that a proper investigation is going to be done in this Linden case where we don't know the qualification of foreign investigators? It's not a case where, let me say, they come from Guyana, where people say, oh, this man is a good man, boy. This man is a good investigator. I know he qualified to investigate that matter and he get conviction in the matter. We don't know them. We don't know who they are. And they might be highly qualified for all we know. They might be highly qualified. They might be the best investigators in Barbados. And I say, I would ask the question, how many similar investigations, how many homicide investigations have they done individually and collectively? We don't know. So how can we have confidence that a proper investigation is going to be done? But let me give them some tips. I don't think there's much. But let me say this. Let me start off by saying this. And students, take note. Yeah, share the live. Share the live. Students, take note. We saw videos, or at least a video with what took place on Monday night. We saw a lot of things. And therefore, we have formed our own opinion as to what transpired. That's now the ladder's work. You could see everything, but you have to be able to put them in evidence and present them in a court of law. Them magistrate, them judges and the jury, when it comes to deliberating and this thing, is not what we saw. Is not what we saw. Is what they're able to present in court. Is what evidence, because you see these things, and then when any good lawyer, when the time comes for the presentation to be made, they're gonna find all sorts of legal loopholes. They're gonna find legal loopholes to make sure that these evidence and go into in the court. So you gotta make sure that the process, we're talking about evidence. And evidence, what we see there is not evidence until it is presented in court, Let me understand this thing clearly. We saw it, and yeah, we said this thing telling a story, but it is when it is presented and accepted in court, that is when it becomes evidence for them to deliberate on. So we see a lot of things, and therefore, that is where the investigators come in. They have to make sure that they tie this thing up tight. We said tight up like a guano. Can't move. So Monday night, they killing the man. The gun. Have they been able? Well, not the investigators now. From this, I'm talking about initial action. Did they make sure that they collected a firearm, latch it, so that when the post-mortem examination is done, they said the man get one shot? Were they able to recover the projectile or the bullet or the wallet, as we call it, and do ballistic examination to determine that that is the gun that fired? We're talking about evidence represented in court. You can't just say, well, this man run behind there and you see me more. Yeah, that's circumstantial evidence. But you need direct evidence to link. You got to go so far to show that this man, this particular gun, was uplifted by this particular person at a particular time. All is evidence, with records to show, extracts from the arms book, with signature that he uplifted the firearm, records to show that perhaps when the firearm went there, rungs were missing. And you have to get this thing tight. Were they able to recover any spent shell at the Monday night scene that you can match to say, well, this gun fired this spent shell, and the bullet recovered from the body was fired from this gun? Scientific evidence, ballistic evidence. You have got to do that. Who were the other men in the vehicle with the sergeant? Because when we saw the second video, it is clear that the vehicle was being driven by somebody else. And there were two men at least at the back in the vehicle with the injured Peters, two men. Have they been able to get statements from those people to say exactly what transpired? I would expect them to do that. I would expect. But when you're doing a homicide investigation, or any investigation for the matter, especially homicide investigation, you don't leave anything for chance. You don't leave anything for chance. What time did the injured man arrive at the hospital? As I alluded to that earlier. What time he arrived? In what condition did he arrive? What time they say he went to, they took him to Mackenzie police station, transferred him from this bus to the police vehicle. What time did that occur? They said the bus belonged to some private friend of them. Who owns the bus? You get statement from me about how the bus come to be in the possession of the police. Folks, let me tell you something. This is a homicide investigation. I say again, And therefore, you have to make sure, if you want to do a proper investigation, all of these things and more have to be answered. All and more. They claim that the police sergeant was placed under close arrest. And this is a term that is misused. Can't put you under close arrest. There's no law that provides for a person, a policeman, who is being investigated for murder and them type of offenses, or manslaughter, or homicide. Let me use a broad term, to be placed under close arrest. There are no such law. The Police Discipline Act, chapter 1701, tells you the circumstances under which a policeman can be placed under close arrest. It's spelled out in the law. There has not been any amendment to the law as far as I'm aware. And I could tell you without any fear of contradiction that an homicide, if you're accused of homicide or killing someone, there's not one that you can be placed under close arrest for. So the man should be arrested properly. Shall we understand it? And yeah, when you arrest the policeman, because the law says so too, you're not going to confine him to no cell like an ordinary prisoner unless he behaves in a particular manner. The law provides that if he behaves, the person who's arrested, the policeman, behaves in a particular manner, he can be confined to a cell like an ordinary prisoner. An ordinary prisoner. The law provides that, 1701. They all go and read, man. Read. I encourage you all to read. I'm giving you the references. Go and read. Right? All right. Then I understand they say that other people were under close arrest too. The other man. Why I was shocked? Because up to now, I am not aware that they did identify who may have fired the fatal shot on Tuesday. Because it's enough people shoot. Now, from what I heard there, you had shots ringing out. Many people would have fired. Again, coming back to the gun, did they seize all of those firearms and establish a proper record of who had which firearm? Because the record at the station ought to have reflected that. Who collect which gun, who collect that gun, who collect the gun. Postmortem show that Dan died from a single shot to the head. Were they able to recover the bullet, and was it in such a shape that you can do a proper ballistic examination? But even outside of that, you ought to do ballistic examination that should have been done almost immediately. All the firearms to establish that the firearms, in fact, fired. And we show you here some time ago. Let me see if I get it. We did show you that they had, bear with me. Look, this. They had casings that were found. These are said to have been shotgun casings, empty casings, at the scene on Tuesday. Did they collect these casings, and did they do an examination to determine which gun fired? Because, again, ballistics would have shown that this particular gun fired. The issue is, as I explained before, sometime before, if the fatal shot came from a shotgun, it is difficult to establish the link between the fatal projectile and the gun that fired it, because shotguns are smooth barrel firearm, meaning that the pellets inside, even if a slug, it slides through, and as it slides through, it doesn't go through that rifling, and therefore the characteristics that are so necessary to do a proper ballistic examination are not imparted in this bullet that went down the gun, went down the barrel of the gun. So shotgun is not easy, but not impossible. And now they're talking about FBI. I would have expected, if you really want to establish if a shotgun is used, or you ask help from the FBI. They have the type of capacity. They have that type of capacity. So again, they did do that. They did do that. I then get all the weapons, all of those firearms should have been lodged immediately. And you establish who had which firearm. And at the post-mortem examination, you get the bullet, and then you do your ballistics to find out which gun fired the fatal shot. Because there's a lot of speculation as to whether it was shotgun, whether it was a 9mm pistol, and all this stuff. But the ballistics will clearly establish from the bullet itself, you can tell what firearm fired that bullet. And then by clear deductions, you can go, because if you had two pistols, if let's say the postmortem showed it was fired from a pistol, and you only had one pistol there, Then the conclusion is fired from that pistol. And then you go now to do your ballistics to link that pistol to the fatal projectile. These are supposed to be basic things. These are, Frankie, I asked a question here. Why was the man not taken immediately to the hospital? And Frankie, as you are here, I read the thing about the charge of Gali Khan, and they say the man is charged with murder contrary to common law. I know you were a very good prosecutor. I don't know if you ever heard about a man being charged with murder under common law. I know murder is under section 100 of the Criminal Offences Act, chapter 8:01. So I thought I'll bring that in as I see a very experienced prosecutor online. And I said before too, I would hope that some of my lawyer friends will come and give an explanation. I don't know. I have never heard about it. It might be so, but I say I'm not a liar. I'm just telling you people what I know. So this whole thing at Linden here with this investigation, to me, it reeks. Because as I've said, we don't know who the investigators are. We don't know the background. We know they said they come from RSS. But RSS, as I've said, don't have people based there all the time. So they would have made a request. When the request was made by the president or whomever to the RSS, they would have then reached out to member states, those Eastern Caribbean countries, and make requests for investigators to come. We had matters where, I remember in Antigua some years ago, an allegation was made against the commissioner. And we sent police one rank right from here to go and assist with the investigation. We sent, when the allegation was made against Green, rape allegation against the late Commissioner Green, I think it was somebody from Jamaica or somebody came to assist. So there's nothing new with people coming to assist. But people, you got to know the quality of these people to be satisfied that a proper investigation will be done. You got to know. If you don't know, how can you be confident that a proper investigation will be done? Again, my colleague is not here to brace me. Let me see. I think I see something. I think he come out here. Technical issues, man. You get some problem with the computer. For those of you who are asking about Mr. Conway has issues, technical issues, and he was on earlier, and then something went wrong. He's trying to get on using his phone because he said there was some problem with his computer. He's trying to use his phone, but a lot of static in the phone, and we can't really hear him properly. We can't, which is really unfortunate because I really wanted the support from him in relation to the same police complaints authority and the law, because he had promised to go through the section and to read the law to us. Now, we got about 10 minutes more. And therefore, what we're going to do, let me read something here. Last week, Thursday, the Vice President, at his usual, I just call it abuse out. He made some statements, and among the things he said is that they have a headline here that government has no control over rogue elements in law enforcement agencies. That is attributed to the Vice President. And it's in relation to the same Linden issue. Hear what he says, or hear what he's reported to have said. Got to be careful, because if I'm saying hear what he says, people might interpret it to mean that I heard him. I did not hear him. So I got to choose my language. Hear what he is reported to have said. Condemning the police recent killings of 2 men in Linden, Region 10, Upper Demerara, Berbice, Vice President Bara Jagdi O has said that as much as the Guyana Police Force trains ranks on the standard operation procedure, it has no control over the rogue elements within the law enforcement agencies. Hear what the Vice President is alleged to have said last week, Thursday. Hear what he said, is alleged to have said. He said, right? Can we read back the paragraph? Condemning the police's recent killings of 2 men in Linden, Region 10, Upper Demerara, Berbice, Vice President Barjagdo has said that as much as the Guyana Police Force trains ranks on the standard operating procedure, SOP in bracket, it has no control over the rogue elements within the law enforcement agencies. Now stick a pin. Let me adjust the part. Let me adjust the part right off the bat. That is rubbish. First of all, it is evident that there's no adequate training. Evidence, as I've outlined before, what happened there Tuesday, what happened there Monday night. Clear, there is no evidence. There's no evidence that there's no evidence of proper training. Right? So let me understand that. And to the Vice President, others, let me tell you, if you get rogue elements in the police force hierarchy, and the government cannot absolve themselves from the act, from the blame when these people go out there and do nonsense. You cannot. The government is ultimately responsible. The commissioner who sits there, he too is responsible. And I am telling you, without any fear of contradiction, that the people are not properly trained. I see them, I talk about it all the time. Look at how they getting involved in fights and all this everything. No training to de-escalate. None at all. Look at, and this is not an isolated incident, Vice President Jack the O. Look at what happened in Maikoni, where those two men were killed. They claim one man is a madman. He showing son of the police. Right? The next man came to try to subdue him. And the police opened fire on the two men, killing both of them. You tell me that those people are properly trained? Go back to Maikoni, Huntley, on New Year's morning a couple of years ago, where Mark Forster, I think his name, and a man named Budberg was shot and killed. Hear what the policeman said. He said the police Lance Corporal, Detective Lance Corporal, was trying to arrest this man. And the man was resisting. And he fired 2 shots in the direction. That is what the policeman said. That is somebody who's trained to use a firearm. So you're coming to tell people nonsense-ness on a Thursday. The men are not properly trained. And as I've said before, unless the police and the government and all them acknowledge that the people don't have the adequate training and so on, they're not going to address it. I can share this with you without calling name and so on. A man who's supposed to be involved in training. Last week when I spoke about riot control, crowd control, and I was speaking about the cone of fire for a shotgun. You have to know the cone of fire. The man messaged me to find out what he's done. And this is a man who is training. He messaged me. He said, sorry, I never heard about the cone of fire. So how are you going to tell me that these people are properly trained? When I was up at operations many years ago, I did a random thing at the TSU with the instructors. And I put them in the pen where let's get down at the bottom there. And I asked them questions which I thought were basic. And then I discovered that they lack knowledge. So if they don't have the knowledge as instructors, what are they going to train? What are they going to train people? What are they going to tell them? And the disappointing thing now is a lot of information is there circulating on social media where they can pull up and verify. And I've said, you know, and I have those books there, but because of the relationship with me and them, I ain't got to interact. I got a whole set of books on training, small arms of the world, and infantry weapons of the world, all those things I have. I really ain't got used to them now. And I would be willing to make sure that I share, but not in this hostile and toxic environment. I don't want to have anything to do with some of those people. I have been giving individuals stuff, but I would love to know that some of the material I have, I can hand it over to the police library or the TSU library or the TSU library. But the environment is toxic. So that is what he said. Let me go on to read. They said, the Vice President said, you can't predict rogue action. How do you train against it? The Guyana Police Force training is solid. You can't shoot people like that. Hear what the Vice President is saying. You cannot predict rogue action. How do you train against it? The training is solid. The Guyana Police Force training is solid. You can't shoot people just like that. Now, if the training is solid, how come they're shooting people like that? Yeah? Because remember, training is not only about telling them when to shoot and how to shoot, but one would expect it's a whole process to identify the people to make sure that they are mentally capable of carrying and using the firearm. All of that you have to do. All of that. Now, folks, let me say this. I got more to talk about. I have more to talk about. My colleague is not here to back me up. So here we're going to have Marlene. Let me hear your comment and what you think should happen I'm gonna close off now. What do you think should happen going forward? Bear in mind, Friday is Good Friday. Monday is Easter Monday, and so definitely we're not gonna be here on Monday. We're not gonna be here on Good Friday either. So Barlett is one of the, I wouldn't say main student, but he's one of the vocal students. So I'll invite Barlett, this vocal student, to suggest to us teachers what should happen, having regards to the fact that my colleague was unable to participate fully today, and the fact that Friday is Good Friday, Monday is Easter Monday. We need to know, I need some recommendations from you guys. I need some recommendations as to what can happen so I can relate it to Mr. Conway and we can decide. Somebody said Saturday sound good. Tomorrow, what? Somebody said tomorrow is good. Good or Friday? Not tomorrow, man. Tomorrow is Thursday. Friday is Good Friday, Sean. So, somebody said tomorrow, only Thursday. Are you saying that's other thing? But let me give you all your therapy. And when I give you your therapy, but I give enough time to make up your mind as to what you got an opportunity to make recommendations. You shouldn't miss them. You shouldn't miss them. Let me give you the first therapy. We have several therapies now. We have several therapies. Let me give you this one. This is let me find it. Look at this one. This is one of the therapies that you're gonna get from now on. This is the Prime Minister in Honduras or somewhere representing Guyana. The man looked like something the cat dragging on a cold night. Look at the man jacket or the blazer. Look at that stinker. Look at that stinker. A man who was the head of the army, former chief of staff of the Guyana Police Force. He is there. Look, you got it. What look like honored guards flanking him. Honored guard flanking him. And look at the presentation to represent Guyana. Look at it. Look at it. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. And he is one of them 00 not licensed to do certain things. That is what you expect. Then, you know, when we talk about the International Decade for People of African Descent, that is why people like Pelori Joe and them can go and talk nonsense about black people. Because look at how he's representing himself next to this man who is so properly dressed. That is how your Prime Minister presented himself at that forum. And then, I'll tell you how you're going to get your therapy, you know. Then look at this one here. Oh, this is a new one. This is a new one. Y'all watch this and enjoy. This is a new one.
With our access to cash secured, we moved forward with the deal. As a final step, Sue took our colleague, Mr. Chan, next door to meet the Vice President himself.
Thank you so much for seeing me.
Yeah, please have a seat.
Jagdo avoided talking specifics, but told us how close he is to Sue.
Do you understand our deal in detail?
I'm not getting involved in business. You will get the support. Sue is my friend. He gets all the support.
We have to be clear about all the agreements.
Sue deals with all the agreements. I don't.
I understand.
The thing is that my thing is that I'm in government.
I understand.
So I assist from government side.
I know.
That's it.
Sue interjected, telling Mr. Chan this wasn't the place to talk about the bribe.
因為佢由頭都係啦，即係我要知道，即係啲錢係入咗佢嗰度先得㗎。如果唔係 ，Okay, thank you so much for giving me time. I hope I can see you again.
Yes,
thank you.
definitely.
佢隻手永遠係好乾淨，唔好話呢啲石油公司咁大筆數嘅，好似幾千萬美金，水電站咁，佢嗌我跟，佢唔會講。
Folks, what you saw there is part of that same Vice News thing. There's a part where the Chinese went in there posing as businessmen, and it is alleged that they went there to set you up to take the bribe. And he said, well, he don't deal with that. Sue is the man who deals with that, and so on. Incidentally, what happened to the lawsuit he brought against Sue? We're not hearing anything further about that because as I predicted, what's gonna happen? You're gonna get default judgment. I think he Sue for 20 million. So there's not no money. So Sue ain't gonna turn up to I don't even know if they serve it on Sue. He's not gonna turn up. And then what's gonna happen? They're gonna come out and say, well, Sue was he was sued and there was no evidence to confirm what he was saying and all that. But I made the point before, I'm saying it again, is that an allegation of that nature, a damning allegation of that nature, ought to have been thoroughly investigated in the vice president's interest. It ought to be, if you're innocent, as he claims, he should have been the one pushing for an independent investigator. Just like how they now tell you about FBI, they send evidence to FBI. I addressed that briefly on the last program. We're going to talk about it again. They should have been the one, if you're so innocent, pushing to make sure that FBI, Scotland Yard, Mounted Police, somebody cover a combination of them, not RSS, come and investigate to clear your name. The fact that no such investigation was done leaves the impression with a lot of people, including me, that there's a lot to hide, and therefore you don't want any professional, transparent investigation. Definitely not so cool to investigate a matter like that. And the next part of it, where is it? Let me show you all the next part, man. Let me show you all the next part. I had it here just now lined up. Y'all bear with me, man. Bear with me. Normally, when Mr. Conway is on, I just line up these things, you know, so that by the time you come, I can hear. So here it is.
Sit there and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Zhurong?
Su? Oh, Su? My relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yes, yes, he is a friend of ours.
He claims
can never ever forget that. Just like how they come with all the propaganda and so on now, we're going to come and we're going to remind you of all of these things. We're going to remind you of all of these things. No investigation was ever done. And this man walks around the place free, pointing finger at people. He know who is criminal. He know who is thief. He know everything. And that damning allegation, the most serious allegation of corruption ever made, in my view, in my knowledge, against any politician in Guyana. And that is what you have there. Folks, some of the students making us out a suggestion. Somebody said Thursday is Jack Duke or Saudi. Now, tomorrow, as I've said, is Holy Thursday. Friday is Good Friday. Definitely no program on Friday. Good Friday is a day I never really did like, in that I used to make him a kite to catch me little hustle. And you have to go to church on Good Friday. And like that was a never-ending day. You can't eat, you got to drink little dal and thing, no meat until after 6 o'clock and all them type of thing. So it's a day I never liked. I must admit to you, I never liked that day. So you get your little cross buns and so on. And I get my kites to make. And you're there in church there. Oh Lord, it ain't done. It ain't done. So definitely not Friday. Monday is Easter Monday, and I have other activities on Monday. So I got to talk to Mr. Conway, and I am thinking seriously, once you agree, that we can come tomorrow again at 11 o'clock. What say you, students? Tomorrow at 11 o'clock we can come, and we can continue this. Hopefully by then Mr. Conway would get himself sorted out, and he can be able to participate. I want to hear your opinion. Should we come tomorrow, Thursday, the 17th, Holy Thursday, at 11 a.m. and deal with it? Some people say yes, everybody say yes. Wait, I ain't got kite for me, man. I show you know this thing at y'all tomorrow is Holy Thursday. You ain't get kite for me. You want to come to class on tomorrow too? Oh my Lord, man. Oh, all right. We gonna come tomorrow. I gotta tease you all a little bit. We gotta come tomorrow. Pass the word that we're gonna come tomorrow, Thursday at 11 o'clock, and we are going to we're gonna continue where we left off. In the meanwhile, I want to ask you to stay well from now. Kite flying, fly your kite in safe places. We don't want GPL blame you for them blackout, because, you know, all like from now going on till for the next week or so, any blackout in Guyana, GPL can blame on kite flyers. Any blackout, they can blame on kite flyers. So don't take the blame. Fly your kite in open places and stay safe until we meet tomorrow. God spare life. You know, he is the man in everything, you know. We can plan. We said man appoints, God disappoints. So we are planning to be here tomorrow, but it's all up to the maker. If he wants us to be here, we will be here to continue. So folks, enjoy the couple hours until we meet tomorrow morning at 11, God's willing. And then you're gonna have another episode of Speaking Out, exposing corruption, incompetence. Until then, stay well. Bye.